Welcome, everybody. Fantasy Endgame live at you once again. It's Monday night. Got one more game before this week is over, and then it's on to lucky week 13.
Yeah.
Lucky for some of you. If you're still a contender heading towards the playoffs, then yeah, if not, you're maybe not really checking in too much, anyways. I assume at this point, you're still in it. You're checking in. You want to know who to pick up, who to start, who to sit. And you may have some, games on the line tonight because even though it's not, I'd say an outstanding matchup in real life, there's still some players in play here for fantasy that will matter. Justin Fields and DJ Moore could make or break you tonight. So we'll preview the game a little bit real quick. But first, go over, I guess, some pretty big news today. We had another coach get the axe, and it didn't take long for the Frank Reich regime in Carolina. I mean, you look at the record, it's understandable, but it's like there's a lot more to this. So without getting into all the back and forth and details, are you side Frank Reich or your side ownership? Because some people are basically saying it's all the owner. He's like the next Dan Snyder. You know what that's like. Washington.
Well, yeah, that's the problem. Like I never thought Frank Reich was the right hire. Like when you know you're about to draft your franchise QB, which the Panthers knew they were going to draft their franchise QB, right? They had the number one pick. They made that trade, get the number one pick. You need to hire the coach you think can develop your number one QB, your franchise QB. And like what is Frank Reich's track record? Andrew Luck abruptly retired in his prime under Frank Reich. Last year, or like the last couple years in Indianapolis, terrible passing offense. Like this isn't the guy you want to hear. And then not only that, it's not just bad enough you bring in Frank Reich, who's never had outside of that 1 year with Andrew Luck and before he retired, has never really had a great offense necessarily as a head coach, at least. Maybe he did as an offense coordinator. I haven't gone back far enough to look, but not as head coach. You say, let's go sign 33-year-old Adam Thielen to a 3-year deal. Let's bring in DJ Chark, who's never healthy. Like you don't even bring him like young talent, Miles Sanders on his second deal. Like you don't even put young talent around the guy, right? You just bring in these like kind of whatever guys. You just don't surround him with the right pieces. So I blame. I mean, you can't blame Frank Reich. It's like he is who he is. You know what I mean? It's like going to a restaurant and saying, I'm going to order something I don't think I'm going to like just to try it out, and then blaming the dish. Blaming the dish. No, it's not the dish's fault. The dish is what the dish is. Like you hired the guy. It's the owner. Like, what is this? This is already like their 6th different coach or something in the guys, like whatever, like every year it's a new coach, it's a new this, it's new that. Like you need some stability. You need something. Like let's just hope, kind of like the Jaguars with Urban Meyer. Let's hope they say, okay, let's go get our guy. Let's go get somebody that can actually develop a QB. Let's not worry about wins and losses right now. Let's get somebody like Doug Peterson, right? Let's get somebody who has a track record, a proven track record of being a good coach for a QB. Let's hope that's what they do. Because I don't think it's too early to give up on Bryce Young, right? Like it's year 1. It's way too early to give up on him. Bring in somebody who can develop a QB. Don't worry about wins and losses just yet.
Yeah, well, I'll say, first of all, as far as is it Reich or is it the owner, I'm going to have to say it's both, because there's no way you get to be that bad that quick if it's just one guy or one thing. It's not that bad if it's just the coach, because you can even accidentally win a couple of games with a bad team. I don't think Reich is to blame, because like you're right. This team, the roster is like this weird mix, like a hodgepodge of rookies and veterans, and there's no in between, right? How do you get like Jonathan Mingo, one of the youngest receivers drafted, next to Adam Thielen, one of the oldest starting receivers in the league? Like, I mean, look, I get having like the mentor and the super, but it was just a weird mix, right? This team didn't have an identity. Like, are you trying to contend, or are you trying to rebuild? Or are you like, what are you doing? And I really don't think they had a direction. I will say this in terms of, I think it's pretty obvious the owner is terrible, right? I think that he's obviously meddling. The fact that everyone's saying he's wanting to be in every decision and making bad decisions, okay, a lot of it, is his fault. And I do tend to remember, you remember we talked about right before the NFL draft, we thought it was going to be CJ Stroud taken first by the Panthers because it really seemed like they liked him and they were impressed by him and making our, mocks and all that. I thought Stroud for a while was going to be the pick, and then it wasn't. And there's no way to look and say, well, Bryce Young, number one, like that makes total logical sense. There's no argument against it. But that makes me think that maybe this whole we took Bryce Young instead of CJ Stroud mistake, as it looks like right now, maybe it wasn't Reich. Maybe it was the owner, because that's what we're hearing now. And that would make a lot of sense, wouldn't it? Because I really was under the impression that they liked Stroud better. So I'm going to, kind of lean towards Reich's side on that one. But it's also Reich's fault for not developing him and having this stagnant, terrible offense, because Miles Sanders is not a terrible running back. Bryce Young is not going to be a terrible quarterback. I don't think it's his fault. And Frank Reich, he gets the benefit of the doubt because he was a quarterback. Remember, in the NFL, he was a quarterback, and then he was an offense coordinator, which is why he got, the chance to be a head coach, because he was a good offensive coordinator. He just hasn't turned out to be a good head coach the last couple of years. But I don't think it's all his fault. Some of it, yes, but some of it, no. And I think Bryce Young will be fine. In fact, I'm still going to say in Dynasty, I think he's a great buy low. I mean, mainly in Superflex, but I'll still buy low in Bryce Young. I don't think he's the problem. So it's unfortunate for Bryce Young that he landed in this mess, because this team is going to be really bad next year again. Right. They don't have a first round pick because they gave it away. And I don't know what really big name free agent wide receiver is going to jump at the chance to go to Carolina. I don't. I mean, I think their best case scenario is like a T. Higgins type, which is good. Like, he'll be helpful, but he also has trouble staying healthy. And I don't know. I don't know if T. Higgins, Bryce Young combination is going to really make me like super excited. Do you think that alone would help Bryce Young to develop?
It would certainly help, but I think first of all, I still have my doubts that the Bengals are going to let T. Higgins walk, but I still think the best thing for Bryce Young is a quarterback-friendly coach, right? Like a coach, don't bring in some defensive guy. Don't bring in some, hard-nosed, run the football, type of guy. Bring in an X's and O's guy, somebody like, look at Shane Steichen. Although I think Shane Steichen didn't have a defensive background, I don't know. But we saw what he did with Jalen Hurts. We've seen what he did with Anthony Richardson for a short time. Kevin O'Connell, not saying you can bring these guys in, of course, they're already on teams, but like Kevin O'Connell, again, Doug Peterson, guys who have a track record of, having good quarterback play in their systems and understand the position. I know Frank Reich is a former QB, so you'd think he would be that guy, but for some reason he's not. But, like somebody who has a track record as a coach at the NFL level, like of bringing along a QB, or at least getting the most out of a QB, and bringing this guy somebody who can actually help him develop and get better. And then, get the pieces around it, man. Like look, Adam Thielen, he's still fine, but is Adam Thielen like the guy you want for the next 3 years as your, cornerstone wide receiver alongside your young franchise wide receiver? Like, no, like what? Like, no, no.
Look, nothing against Thielen. Obviously, he's having a good season, but he should be like the number 3 guy there. He should be the safety valve, the slot receiver who you can lean on after the first 2 reads are not open. So that's part of the problem. And Mingo, look, maybe he'll be fine, but I don't think anybody ever expected him to develop into the number 1 guy. He was drafted earlier than people expected. So, look, they already planted their flag. They spent everything they had to get Bryce Young. So if he doesn't pan out, they're screwed basically for the next couple of years. So they need to basically go all in, like you said, on developing Young and making sure he hits. So exactly, whatever you do, whoever you hire, it needs to be somebody who can get the most out of Bryce Young specifically. Yep. So we'll see if they do that. So still think it's safe to say for the rest of this season, pretty much just want to avoid this Carolina offense as much as possible outside of, I guess, Adam Thielen.
I mean, but for how much longer? I mean, at one catch, not even not even the number 2 target, not even the number 3 target, the number 4 target this week. Like, this is the other problem. And I don't want to rail too much on the Panthers, but this is the other problem with these when you bring in like a guy like Adam Thielen, who's 33 years old. Sure, start of the season, he hasn't been hit in 6 months. He's feeling good. He hasn't been, you know what I mean? You start getting to October, November, December, it gets cold. He's been hit all year. Suddenly, that's a little bit of a step is gone, and that separation isn't quite there anymore, right? When it gets to this time of year, like, because that, you know, we've seen he's slowly kind of been doing this all season, right? And yeah, that's just, yeah, whatever. You know, I don't, whatever. I just feel bad for Bryce Young, honestly, because look, like, yes, you and I liked Stroud more than Bryce Young, but we both still really liked Bryce Young. It wasn't like we were like, oh, Bryce Young's going to be a bust.
Right.
We both still really liked Bryce Young, and I still think Bryce Young can be a very good QB in the NFL. I just feel bad, like kind of like how I felt bad for Trevor Lawrence in year one. I don't feel quite as, like, Trevor Lawrence's situation was even worse, but I feel bad for Bryce Young. I mean, he hasn't gotten the chance that CJ Stroud has. He doesn't have a good stable organization around him with good, young Tank Dell, Nico Collins, Dalton Schultz, young pass catchers. You know what I mean? Young running backs, so I do feel bad for Bryce Young. So, and I hope they get him what he needs and we get a better Bryce Young in year 2 for sure.
Yeah. I hope so. I don't know. It's like, it's kind of hard to like root for the organization when, the owner is the way he is, but right. The fans and all the team, like, there's nothing I dislike. I actually like the Carolina Panthers. Just, I don't think ownership's going to change. Hopefully he just decides to step back and, I still hope that they kind of bounce back quickly. So there's that. And then tonight we got the Bears and the Vikings. We expecting Fields and DJ Moore to kind of repeat from last week, go off. You think it's going to continue?
I do. I don't see why not. It's the Vikings. Nothing here scares me about the Vikings defense. They're in the they're in the dome, so you never have to worry about weather. It's that time of year where we got to start thinking about weather, but you don't have to think about it tonight. They're in the dome. So, yeah, I definitely like Fields and DJ Moore a lot tonight.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll get any questions about them. I mean, pretty much if you're counting them, you're probably still starting them no matter what. Yeah, I think if you have Fields and Moore, and we'll answer your question specifically, I think you have a good chance. Of course, no guarantees, but I would feel pretty confident. Just depends how much you're down by. And then the Vikings kind of are what they are. We already know what to expect there. All right, so we'll get to your questions. We're going to try to uplift your spirits if you're losing going into tonight, give you some realistic advice, and then answer any questions you got already for week 13. But first, I want to remind you that if you haven't signed up for Underdog, well, you got Justin Fields there getting higher than 0.5 total yards. That's right. You can take that pick if you sign up for Underdog. If you haven't done it yet, and maybe you haven't heard, Underdog is the place to go for your pick'ems, your weekly drafts. And it's not just NFL. There's also NBA, NHL, everything else. So if you sign up for Underdog right now and use promo code ENDGAME, then that gets you that free pick, basically. Justin Fields, go higher, combine it with any other pick, and you can triple your money just like that. And just for creating an account, you double your money because every dollar you put in up to 100, you get it matched, 100% deposit match. So just make sure you use that promo code. Click on that link down below. It will take you there, or you can download the app. You get all of that right now. All right, so Mary Jo needs Fields and DJ to not just catch up by 27.6, but also more than Hawk. What do you think?
It's gonna be close. If they didn't have Hawk, I'd say you had this in the bag.
Right.
You had this in the bag. But they have Hawk, and the thing is, Hawk without Justin Jefferson he's been like their number one receiver. But look, he didn't have a good game last time, right? He only had like 6 fantasy points, so you never know. He's still a tight end, so it's going to be a sweat. I think I would favor you because like if Fields gets you, let's just say 20, DJ Moore gets you 15. That means Hawks still needs at least 9, and that's pretty conservative, I think, for DJ Moore and Justin Fields tonight. So I think the odds favor you, but it's certainly going to be close, and it's going to be a sweat. Yes.
Yeah, I do think you have a decent chance. That's a tough thing, and then you're in an 8-team league, and that's what's tough. Is everybody basically has studs on their team, so you could have a really good team, and so does somebody else. So it just makes it a little harder to separate from the pack, even if you know what you're doing. So I think you still have a good chance, though. Alex B needs 25 just from DJ Moore. I don't know about that one.
Yeah, look, I'm in a league against Keith where he needs 27 for DJ Moore, so I'll hope DJ Moore gets 25, but not 27.
There you go. You're right in the middle. I don't know about this either. Sammy wanting DJ Moore to score less than 7.
Yeah, that doesn't feel too good. That doesn't feel too likely.
No, I feel that's probably less likely than the other one. And Alex, look, I guess we should address this. Saying he was feeling good, and then Kyren happened. Kyren did happen. Okay, so acknowledged it was a great matchup for him. Acknowledged that he's a guy who's a bell cow, but we have to also, there was risk. There was risk coming back because look what happened with Achane, right? I mean, I guess we'll just take the L. I'm not saying you had to start Kyren Williams, but at the same time, Kyren Williams having the best game of the season, did not see that coming.
We're taking the L on Kyren Williams? I mean, we didn't say we
didn't say you have to sit him.
We didn't say start Kyren Williams over everybody, but I'm pretty sure we said yes to Kyren Williams a lot, unless people had look, I know we did say guys okay, I mean, he outscored everybody. So if you said yes to anybody, then you take the L.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If somebody said CMC or Kyren Williams, you took the L. You took the L for saying CMC. I mean, look, he's outscored everybody. But look, we didn't say yet. We weren't saying yes to the James Connors or the guys
No.
No, it was only the no doubt studs. It was okay, yeah, we said yes probably to Travis Etienne over Kyren Williams. Okay, he outscored Travis Etienne. We probably said yes to Saquon. Okay, he outscored Saquon. But I mean, we were still very high on Kyren Williams. I mean, I know we said yes to Kyren Williams a ton. Now, of course, we didn't expect him to do this. I don't think anybody expected him to do this, but it's kind of funny when you look at Kyren Williams. Smashed against Arizona, got hurt. Missed 4 games, come back, smashed against Arizona again. Man, can you play Arizona every week?
Well, and that's what I'm also thinking, going into next week. Is this just now you have to start Kyren Williams, no questions asked? Or is this you have to start every running back against Arizona? Because remember what Devin Singletary did against Arizona. Is that what it is? Is Arizona now this defense?
Yes. And look, as somebody who has Kyren Williams, he's been good, but he's also not been good this year. He has not been one of those no doubt every week guys. Sure, if he played Arizona every week, yes, he would be one of those no doubt every week guys. But I mean, if you look at him, you look at him in PPR, he had an 8-point game, he had a 7-point game. I mean, yeah, he's mostly been good this year when given the opportunity, of course. So, but look, he gets to Cleveland and Baltimore next too. So, I still think you're starting. I mean, look, you're still starting Kyren Williams. He's obviously the lead back there, but Cleveland and Baltimore the next 2, not the Cardinals.
Yeah, and I'm fully prepared for the letdown when he plays Cleveland and only gets 10 PPR points, but I still think you have to start him. Yes. What's annoying is now I'm okay, Arizona, let's go. And then this week they play Pittsburgh. So it's okay, Najee Harris and Jalen Warren. Which one is going to smash? Are they both going to smash? I mean, I don't know. Do I just have to start both of these running backs?
Probably.
Maybe.
You should probably.
Last week I thought Jalen Warren was going to smash. And here comes Najee Harris with his best game. So it's it's annoying. That's fantasy. All right, Moises only needs 20 from DJ Moore. That's doable.
Definitely possible. If he scores a touchdown.
The good vibes are definitely being sent your way.
Yep.
All right. What about Dan O? All right, here we go. Big time trade. Got JJ for Pollard and Waddle. Here's the squad. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's okay. I mean, like, I know Waddle had that nice game, and I think he's gonna have a couple more nice games because they get Washington, and then I think they get Tennessee the next two. But
Yeah, I was
they
going
got
to
a
say
tough
this week you're going to hate not having Waddle while JJ's not on your lineup. But for the
right.
playoffs, I think it's fine.
Exactly. That's the thing that worries me is when we get into the fantasy playoffs because, like, I still feel like Tyreek Hill will be great in the fantasy playoffs because he's Tyreek Hill and it doesn't matter. But are those matchups going to be good enough for Jalen Waddle to also be great? That I'm not so sure about. So I think in the end you'll like this deal. Short term, maybe you'll be kicking yourself.
Yeah, especially if Waddle goes ballistic this week against the Commanders. Now, I will say this too. I don't know how many receivers you need, but you got Amon-Ra. JJ's not playing. I mean, not just tonight, but next week because they're on bye. Olave might miss. Olave's in the concussion protocol. You might be without him. You're talking about dropping Terry. You got JJ not playing. You got basically Amon-Ra and Nico. You only have two receivers who are active. So if you need a third receiver, I don't think you can drop Terry because you might have nobody else. So I wouldn't drop Terry anyways for a defense.
No, not dropping a guy like Terry McLaurin for a defense. No.
I would hold on to him because what if, hopefully not, JJ has a setback. Yeah. So anyways, I wouldn't do that. All right. Moises needs a quarterback and a tight end for this week because of buys. Muth or Njoku? I mean, it's got to be Muth.
Call me crazy, but I'm still going Njoku. I mean, we buying into this Muth game like suddenly, like Muth is going to be the best receiver on the Steelers all of a sudden.
Not well, he could be. He definitely could be with this offense and this quarterback. But yeah, look, I was in on Muth last week. I said pick him up. He's your best option out there. I liked Njoku too, but we don't even know who's the quarterback for Cleveland next week. At least not right now.
True, but I mean, does it matter? Like, he's going to get the targets.
Kind of.
I mean, I guess
PJ Walker. Are you going to say fire up Njoku no matter what?
Yeah, he was fine with PJ Walker before. He's had 8 or more targets in like 5 of the last 6 games. So, I mean, look, this is what is always tough. Like, are we going to ignore the first part of the season before Muth got hurt when he was doing nothing? And then he played Cincinnati, one of the worst tight end matchups, and had 9 catches, 120 yards. And we're just going to be like, this is it now. It's the Muth show. I mean, maybe.
You have to realize that was BC. We're AC now.
Okay,
this
I
was
get
before
that.
Canada. Now it's after the post-Canada era. And so this is like a different timeline we're on.
They're like, it's going to be the Najee Harris, Pat Fryermuth offense now. That's it. Like Jalen Warren, you're an afterthought again. Deontay Johnson, George Pickens just run around, or if you're Deontay Johnson, stand there while the ball gets fumbled and don't move. Like, this is the Muth Najee Harris show. This is the new offense. That would be pretty fun. Actually, that would be pretty funny if after this whole year the Steelers decided it's going to be all Najee and Muth the rest of the season. These are our guys. It would tilt. It would tilt like 95% of the fantasy community if that happened.
Hey, I would appreciate that because at least we would know what their identity is. We know who to start. But look, here's the thing. I think this week it has to be Muth because, again, we just said this. Who do the Steelers play this week? The Arizona Cardinals.
True.
I'm going to start Muth for sure this week. Njoku's still fine, and it's a good matchup for Njoku, but I got to go Muth this week. For QB, Sam Howell, Jordan Love, Russell Wilson, Gardner Minshew. That's a little closer. If you watch the waiver video, I said Howell, so my answer is clearly Howell.
I think it's got to be Howell. I know it's hard. Like Jordan Love's been good, but KC still a tough defense. I know they gave up, that random long touchdown to Josh Jacobs, and they did give up another touchdown to Aiden O'Connell. But I mean, that's still a really good defense. Russ has been okay. Minshew's just been okay, even in good matchups. One thing about Miami, like you look at them on the season, they've allowed I think they're 21st against they've allowed now the 11th or 12th most points to quarterbacks. But they've played the Patriots twice, the Giants, The Jets with Tim Boyle last week. They've had like 5 or 6 matchups against the worst possible quarterbacks this year. And they still have allowed like the 11th or 12th most fantasy points to QB. So, and if nothing else, it'll probably be a shootout, and they're at home. So I'm going Sam Howell.
Yeah, look, I accept the Dolphins, the criticism that they've had some easy games, because they have. But it's true, like you said, the Patriots twice, the Giants, the Panthers, the Jets. Had some.
Yeah.
The Aiden O'Connell led, Raiders. So yes, there have been some cupcake matchups there. So yeah, I'm definitely in on Howell for sure. And then good evening, Sir Boomer, to everyone except Dameon Pierce, who is now officially dead. I mean, did he hit 27 yards? Did he? I don't think he did.
I don't think so. Devin Singletary didn't even hit 27 yards rushing. He hit 27 yards receiving, because that was kind of crazy. Like Devin Singletary caught 6 passes or whatever it was, but neither of those guys did anything on the ground.
Yeah, I mean, look, didn't want to spoil your party here, but yeah, 14 rushing yards by Dameon Pierce and 18 from Singletary. So
yeah, they did nothing on the ground, but Devin Singletary did do damage through the air. But they get the Broncos this week.
Yes, and if you are a Devin Singletary owner, he clearly led the way in terms of snaps and touches. Like, it's his backfield still. So I think you can roll out Singletary this week, but not so much Pierce. All right, Juice. This week going to be rough. We got some teams on bye, but he's 10-2. Murray, CMC, Bijan, Waddle, Douglas, McBride, Charbonnet. Well, Mario Douglas also, I think, in the protocol, or did they say he avoided concussion? I don't remember.
I think they said he avoided it, but yeah.
But still neck injury. So, all right. So, bye. Well, I mean, I don't know what changes you can make. Dobbs instead of Douglas?
Against KC, I mean...
only if Douglas doesn't play.
Sure, yes, only if Douglas doesn't play. But, I mean, this lineup here isn't bad. I mean, you got CMC and Bijan. Waddle against the Commanders should go off.
Yes.
You got Kyler Murray. Charbonnet at least gives you a floor, right? That's the nice thing about Charbonnet. He gives you a floor. McBride, I know McBride didn't go off this week. I think he's like the tight end 5 right now. But he had 7 catches for 60 yards. I mean, outside of a touchdown, you can't ask for anything more than that at tight end. You know what I mean? Like that's Travis Kelce numbers. So, yeah. Outside of the touchdown, of course. So you should still be okay this week. And you're 10-2.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, like you said, that at tight end, that's good enough to be one of the tops at the position. So you can't complain about McBride. So yeah, I wouldn't change anything. He asked later, would you pick up A.T. Perry? I mean, the only guy you would drop for him would be Dobbs. Would you rather Perry and take a flyer on him, or just keep Dobbs?
Probably just keep Dobbs. I mean, even with Chris Olave out, Rashid Shaheed out, it wasn't like they started targeting him a bunch. I don't know. Like he's a rookie. He's a rookie. Can't expect much. Maybe as the season goes on, he gets rolling here. But yeah. No.
That was really annoying. Is that A.T. Perry was on the field more than any other receiver, and only got 2 targets. It's like what? I mean, just try it. Just try it out. See what happens. Throw it his way. Maybe he'll catch it. Like, who knows? I don't know. Michael Cazares needs to start too. In non-PPR, okay, we got Rashee Rice coming off a nice game. Amon-Ra is an automatic yes. Christian Watson, Olave, and Downs.
Well, it's Amon-Ra and Olave if he plays. Right. But unfortunately, man, what a so where's our guy? Where's our guy? Fantasy football is paying. Chris Olave dominating that first half. Dominating. Gets a concussion, and now might miss this week when he gets the Lions, whose secondary suddenly looks horrible. Right? Just made Christian Watson look like a thing last week. Oh, man. But anyways, let's fingers crossed that he somehow clears protocol and plays. If so, you're going to play Amon-Ra and Olave. If not, I think it's got to be Rice. Look, I've fallen for the Rashee Rice trap like 4 times this year, but he actually finally played real NFL like usage, like 71% of the routes, a 31% target share. Like it actually looked like they made a conscious effort to get him more involved. Will it go back? Will it drop this week? Probably, because that's just how it goes with him. And it's like, it's so frustrating, right? It's so frustrating. But this was the biggest step we've seen from him yet. Not just, I'm not even looking at like the stats he put up. I'm just looking at his usage. The fact that he was out there 71% of the routes, 31% target share. I got to feel like they need him. Like they need Rashee Rice. So if Olave's out, I'm going Rice. Although I do like Downs again this week too. I have to say that.
Downs was really aggravating because he was so close twice to a touchdown. You saw that one; he got tackled at the 1-yard line, and then they threw it to him. And if Minshew didn't make a terrible throw, it should have been a touchdown because he had him. He just sailed it to the right. So he was so close to a touchdown, and he had a good amount of targets and catches, just not the big play, big touchdown.
Yeah,
13
targets. Tied with Pittman.
He really should have had a bigger game. I blame Gardner Minshew for him not having a bigger game. But
for sure.
In non-PPR, besides Amon-Ra, I agree. If Olave plays, it's Olave. If not, go Rice because the touchdown upside. All right, Kevin Trotter. Down 11, has DJ Moore. Opponent has Khalil Herbert. You got a strong chance.
Yeah, I think you got a chance. I think it's going to be close because, I mean, look, Herbert at least has a decent floor. By floor, I mean like 8 points, which, that means you still need a pretty big DJ Moore game. But I think you got a chance. It'll be a sweat.
Yeah. I mean, I feel a big DJ Moore game. Obviously, it's not guaranteed, but I think you got a good shot. The other John is down by 13, but has Fields. Got bailed out by some low scores on the other side. Yeah, that was weird. But yeah, down by 13 with Fields. I feel like you should have this.
Yeah, do we have to talk about this Ravens backfield? Because that was all of a sudden different.
I guess so. Well, the Gus big game definitely did not happen because they decided to give the ball to Justice Hill in the red zone and then Keaton Mitchell. I mean, look, Keaton Mitchell, it's true. His time on the field is steadily trending up. It's every week going up. So I think we have to acknowledge he might now be flexible.
Yes. And I think we have to get to the point now where Gus is just touchdown dependent, because it's one thing. Right. It's one thing if it's Gus and Justice Hill or Gus and Keaton Mitchell, but if it's going to be Gus, Justice Hill, and Keaton Mitchell, and if Justice Hill is going to get the goal line carry from time to time, it looks like the wheels have fallen off the Gus bus.
Right. It'll be kind of touchdown or bust. Here's the thing: you don't have to worry about it next week because the Ravens are off. So nobody's startable on that team in week 13. And then they get the Rams the week after. We'll see how they attack them. All right. How about this? Needs help tonight. Jared Wright, Fields or Dobbs?
Definitely Fields. Way more upside.
Definitely.
Probably a higher floor, too.
Easily Fields. Definitely Fields. Trone Force went against Kyren Williams. Yeah. Okay, so your season's over 5-7. No, that's not good. Well,
is your season over? You can't. Here's the thing: if you have a stacked team, that means you're probably one of the highest scoring teams, which means you get the tiebreak. You can't get in if you're 7-7. 7-7 won't get you in.
Yeah, I mean, don't count yourself out unless you're actually eliminated. Like if everyone's clinched playoffs and you're out, okay, fine, but you still got a shot.
How many leagues has 6 teams? I assume you're in a 12-team league. Maybe you're in a 10-team and only 4 teams make it. But even in how many leagues are you in where every team is clinched already? I'm in 0. Right. Of my 12 leagues, 0 of them has everybody clinched a spot already.
Right. Yeah. I mean, maybe your season is over, but I wouldn't say that unless it's officially true, which probably not. Well, this is just one lesson. Would say one guy can win a week for you single-handedly.
Exactly.
This is why we always preach upside, ceiling, upside. Go with the guy who could have a big week over the guy who has very little chance of having a big week. If when in doubt, lean upside.
Yep.
Sir Boomer, just saying thanks. Yeah, like that's what we're here for. I like to feel like we're all not just fantasy advice, but also some form of therapy. Although I don't know, maybe we need some form of therapy as well. This is our therapy. Defy Dior playing Ty Chandler, whether you like it or not.
Okay, good luck. I like Ty Chandler. I don't like him this week necessarily in fantasy, but I like him. I really hope he gets a chance at some point, but probably won't.
That's the Defy is short for defiance, apparently. So
yes.
All right, Sal Palumbo. Recently traded for Ekeler. Should you be worried? Well, you know what? Definitely worth talking about last night's game. Addison Ekeler looks slow.
I didn't think he looked. I mean, yeah, look, it was Baltimore. It was Baltimore last night. But here's why I'm not worried about Austin Ekeler. And we actually have a side bet in the Discord, Keith and I. Austin Ekeler finishes the season. Last 4 games. You ready for this? Denver Broncos, Las Vegas Raiders, Buffalo Bills, Denver Broncos. Nice. I think even a slightly slower Austin Ekeler can come through in those 4 games. I have this much worry about Austin Ekeler.
Here's the great thing about Austin Ekeler. Even if he runs for 2 yards a carry, like it doesn't matter because he'll catch 6 or 7 passes and he'll score touchdowns. So yeah, I'm not worried about it, but some people will. Like you traded for Ekeler, you should probably be pretty happy. Like, and look, let me address this. I just saw you said worried about the Chargers out of playoff contention. That doesn't matter. It's not going to look, you know what, guys? Doesn't look like we're going to make it this year. Austin, just kind of sit and watch, and we're going to let Josh Kelly run the ball.
This isn't baseball where like when they're out of it, like they bring in like the call ups and see what they look like. And this is the NFL. They don't do that. They don't do that.
And you've got to think at this point, Staley, he's fighting for his job.
Yeah.
He wants to win every game, probably more than the players do at this point. So,
right.
Yeah. And 369 Rye, what is up? Up 28 against Madison. That's a pretty comfortable W.
Yeah, I think you got this.
Dawn, hello, welcome back. I have a last minute question. Khalil Herbert or Jordan Addison in PPR?
Oh, man. This is closer than it should be. It's probably going to come down to like this one guy's score or not.
Yeah, this is close. I mean, I'm going to give the edge to Addison, not just because it's PPR, because Herbert's not a pass catching back. I feel like he's getting more touches, more opportunities. I don't think it'll be a big Addison week, but I still feel better about him than Herbert, just in general.
Yeah, probably Addison, but man, if Herbert falls into the end zone, it's just going to come down to who scores, honestly. If either scores. So in PPR, probably go Addison, but I will say I just don't feel strongly about either one. So I guess because of PPR, I'll give Addison the tiebreaker.
It will be close, though. It could be close. I think part of it depends on, do we think this will be a close game? Do we think the Bears are up? Do we think that the Vikings are up? I mean, I don't know. Although I guess if you think about it, if the Bears are up, that favors both these guys because the Bears should be running more and the Vikings should be passing more. But it could go either way. Does it matter who's winning?
No, because I don't think it's going to be like that game against Commanders where the Bears are just smashing them. I think it's going to be fairly close. So I don't think that really matters too much. It's just more again like are the 16 carries and maybe the one catch Herbert gets going to be enough for him to score, or is Jordan Addison going to like have a big play and score? That's really what it's going to come. That's really what it's probably going to come down to tonight because I don't expect either of these guys to have a big game outside of a touchdown.
Do you think it matters for her matchup if she's ahead or if she's behind?
Yeah, if you're way behind, or if you're way behind, I would probably say Addison because at least he can hit that big play. And if you're way ahead, I probably would say Herbert because you don't have to worry about like, what if Addison only gets 2 catches tonight? You know what I mean? But if it's close, then just go with the guy. Probably just go with Addison.
Yeah, this could go either way. I hate to say. Francisco Casco up by 14. Other manager has Vikings defense.
I mean, they should not get 14 points. I mean, I don't know. You never know your defense scoring, but the Vikings getting 14, I'd be like very surprised by that.
Defense scoring can get crazy. I mean, don't know your setup and what counts. I would think that you'd win. I would have to go defer to your side, but you never know, right? A strip sack, a fumble, a touchdown for the defense, all of a sudden they got double digits. So yeah, it's gonna go down to the wire probably for years. Caleb G. All right, interesting question here. Rest of the season, you like Jamar Chase, who pulled out a decent game, or Devontae Smith, who had another big game?
Gotta be Devontae Smith. And I know Jamar Chase pulled out a decent game, but did you see 2 of those catches? They were interceptions that ended up being Jamar Chase catches. Like they both just deflected right into his lap. Like, okay, like
yeah. Good luck.
Let's assume that's not happening again. And then what kind of game did Jamar Chase have? And it's not Jamar Chase's fault. He's obviously one of the best wide receivers in the game, but he's got Jake Browning throwing to him. So Devonta Smith has Jalen Hurts. And the Eagles have a fantastic playoff schedule. It's got to be Devonta. It's got to be Devonta Smith at this point. Has to be.
Yeah, I think you look the quarterback, the guy who has Jalen Hurts or Jake Browning. Look, it doesn't even come down to talent at this point because Devontae Smith. Let's remember what he did in college and what a good receiver he's been. He's only not a clear number one receiver in his offense because they just happen to have another clear number one receiver, but I think you got to go Devontae Smith. Let's see. What about this? You think the Bucs are going to fire Bowles if they miss the playoffs? I don't think so.
I mean, maybe in the off season, but not during the season. Like, why?
Yeah,
I don't think so.
All right, Jay Hughes. Another question about Chase. So I'm like, do I bench Chase and put in Curtin?
I assume he means Kyren.
Okay. High five, put hand down is figurative. Okay. So I think we're getting the high five for saying to play Kyren. There you go. So taking the W. You're right. So
we said yes to Kyren a lot. We said yes to Kyren a lot. We both said it's a great matchup. But when people had really, really good options, we said, okay, you don't need to risk it in this case. It wasn't like we were off Kyren. I don't know how did we become Kyren Williams haters?
No, nobody said we were. I think I'm just feeling some residual guilt for not saying you have to start Kyren Williams and ever saying no to him. But yeah.
Okay, well, I mean, in that case, we should have said, you have to play we should have said like what? Who else? Like we should have said yes to who else had some random? Who were the huge?
Well, Rashee Rice did not see that one coming. I mean, I don't think.
Yeah, we should have said yes to who was somebody that was like really bad. Like Gabe Davis to everybody. Everybody should have played Gabe Davis.
Now, I will give you props. You're like the Gabe Davis foreseer because you've now when Gabe is going to have a big game, you seem to always I have a feeling this is a Gabe week and it's a Gabe week. So
I've also said that some weeks where he didn't. So nobody is the Gabe Davis whisperer because even Gabe Davis himself doesn't probably know when he's going to have a big game.
Yeah, he's surprised. He's like he looks at his own stats like, man, I caught that many passes. Okay, let's get to some of these questions now. They're interesting. Guillermo Figueroa, Puka, Downs, or Reed?
Is this the tier Puka and Cooper Kupp are in now? They're in the Josh Downs, Jaden Reed tier.
Like Puka should have smashed. Well, neither one of them did. Okay, but still, Puka this week against who is it they get? I'm gonna look ahead against the Browns. I mean,
that's not good.
That's not good.
That's not good. You know what was really crazy about that game is like right before the game, a report came out that Tyler Higbee was like a surprise inactive. And then like a couple minutes later, the Rams were like, sorry, that was a mistake. He's not an inactive. He's playing. And then he scores 2 touchdowns. I'm like,
surprise, we're going to feature him instead of Cooper Kupp.
Surprise, it's going to be the Tyler Higbee, Kyren Williams show. Cooper and Puka, who? Who are those guys? Never heard of them. Look, against the Browns, I think I'm going Josh Downs this week. He gets the Titans. It's a fantastic matchup. He got 13 targets. Jaden Reed, I don't mind Jaden Reed either, but not a great matchup against the Chiefs. We have to be honest. Like the Chiefs, they're still a great defense. So I think out of this group, I'm actually going Downs over Puka Nacua.
Yeah, I'm fine with Downs. Should have had a better line yesterday, not for Gardner Minshew's inaccuracy, but I still think his target share is encouraging enough. So yeah, this week I'll go Downs. Talking about the Packers Chiefs there, Skylar Heffley wants to know Love or Wilson. I kind of mentioned I put Sam Howell as my favorite streamer if he's available, and if he isn't, these are the two realistic options. I mentioned Love and Wilson. Wilson, I think, is in the better situation because I feel like they're going to have to throw it against the Texans. But, I mean, what's his ceiling?
Right. I mean, yeah, he probably got to go Love. I still have trust issues with Love because, remember, he had that 3-game stretch early in the year where everybody was like, he's him. He's the answer. And then he had that, 4 or 5-game stretch where it was like, okay, are the Packers drafting a QB again next year? Like, what's the plan going forward, right? And then it's been like, oh, he's looked good again. And again, like I said, it is a tough matchup against KC, but at least they are at home. The Packers are at home. Not sure that helps, but they are at home. So probably have to give Love the slight edge just because, like you said, what's the ceiling with Russell Wilson? 2 touchdowns and 200 yards. It's probably like his ceiling, right? So, yeah.
The one positive with Russ that we saw, and you can't guarantee it's going to continue, is he ran the ball a lot this past week. Not just he ran in a touchdown, but he was just running. There's no guarantee they do that again next week. So this one is pretty close. I could see it go either way. I don't know. I'm kind of still in on Jordan Love. I don't love him this week, but I love the rest of the schedule because I talked about with Christian Watson. Man, the Packers have a nice schedule to the end of the year. They get the Panthers, the Giants, the Titans. They have a really good schedule. So couple of quick ones. So Parabellum, and we already kind of answered these, but let's do these quickly. What is up? Hold on to Charbonnet.
Yeah, you have to. He's the lead back in Seattle right now. I mean, at least hold on to him until Kenneth Walker comes back.
Yeah. Don't love starting him because of the schedule. It's brutal, but he's still startable. And then holding on to Singletary. Yes.
Definitely. It's another great matchup this week against the Broncos, so why not?
Yeah, and we'll say this because someone mentioned about Sharps, are you really going to start him? Even if you don't have to, if you have trade deadlines that are extended or just non-existent in your league, you can trade him. There's somebody out there who will trade for him. They need a running back this week with 6 teams on bye, or they're just hurting, or they want somebody better. So there's always that. And there's always the fact that, look, you might have a situation where you have to start him because running backs get hurt all the time. So at least you get a guy who's basically a workhorse right now.
Yeah, he's not unstartable. I mean, it's not as bad of a matchup as he had last week, right, against the 49ers. It's the Cowboys in Dallas. It's not great, but it's not as bad. He caught 4 passes. I mean, he's still startable, It's not like he's Kareem Hunt.
No, exactly. There's much worse options you could have, I guess. We'll put it that way. So yeah, hold on to Singletary, hold on to Sharps. Dylan Fink, an interesting trade. Would you trade Stroud and Jaden Reed for Lamar, Russ, and Zay Flowers? Not sure why we need 2 QBs unless this is a Superflex.
I mean, if it's a 2 QB Superflex, yeah, give me Lamar, give me the 2 QBs, and I still prefer Zay Flowers to Jaden Reed. I know part of that game last night was that, very garbagey touchdown, right? When they're just trying to basically run out the clock when he really should have slid, right, and just iced the game, but he scored because he doesn't know better. He's a rookie. But he still had scored prior to that. He was still having a nice game prior to that. And look, I still prefer Lamar to Stroud rest of the season. I mean, I know Stroud's been great, but look, Stroud gets a very good matchup this week against the Broncos. But then we're going to find out, because he gets, pretty sure after that they get two really tough. Let me see. So they get a nice matchup at home again against the Broncos. Then he's got to go on the road against the Jets. He does get a road matchup against the Titans. Then he's got to face the Browns. And he does get the Titans again. But he's got he's got Jets and Browns.
Yeah. Not smash spots. And they seem to be much better at home. And how many of those games are at home?
Well, the Jets is on the road. The Browns are at home. Titans are on the road. Broncos are at home. And then he has another Titans at home. So
it's a mixed bag.
Yeah, it's a mixed bag. So I still got to prefer Lamar to Stroud rest of the season. So I'll take the Lamar Zay Flowers side.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fair either way. But yeah, Zay Flowers is pretty much the number one guy there. Jaden Reed is maybe, I don't know. Sometimes he'll be the number one guy, but he's not getting as many targets. So I'll slightly prefer the Lamar side. And Russ is kind of just not part of this. What about Elmer Sanchez? What are we doing with T-Law? I mean, he did come through even against Houston. Are we convinced in T-Law or not too much?
Yeah, I talk about him in tomorrow's video. This is certainly a good sign. Look, you don't want to just jump all in. Like, okay, I'm all in. I'm all in on T-Law now, right? Because you don't want to ignore, 10 weeks for the last 2 weeks, right? But the fact that he went into Houston, a team that he has struggled against, and had a great game, that on the road, that's an encouraging sign. And look, we saw this last year with him, right? He started slow last year, and then he came on late. Maybe he's just one of those guys. Starts slow and comes on late. So I said in the video tomorrow, not a top 5 QB for me rest of the season, not a top 10 QB for me rest of the season. But I think in a 1 QB league, if you have Trevor Lawrence, you could probably feel pretty good starting him every week at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I think he kind of just is what he's been, low-end QB1. A guy you can feel safe. He's not going to kill you. He's also not going to win your week for you. He's just kind of solid, and he's there. He'll have some ups and some downs, but they won't be nearly as up and down as some other quarterbacks, which is fine. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. He's consistent. They throw the ball a lot. I think the guy I feel much better about now, I'm sure everybody does, is Calvin Ridley, actually having back-to-back good games, but also I saw a graphic and a next-gen stat thing that just the way he's being used and the type of routes he's running, they actually changed some things up. So that's encouraging. But, I mean, look, if you've been rolling with him, sure, you can keep rolling with him. Kyren matchup proof, I mean, we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to
play Cleveland.
I don't want to get labeled the Kyren hater, and I know that's what happens. But you got to remember, against Cincinnati, which is not a bad defense, but not a good run defense, 38 yards, 8 fantasy points. Against Philly, a very strong run defense, 7 fantasy points, only 53 yards. He also only had 50 yards each of the first 2 games. I mean, he was scoring a lot. He was scoring a lot of touchdowns, but I mean, he's had two really big yardage games against Arizona. And then he had a big yardage game against the Colts. But outside of that, he hasn't really had big yardage games, scoring a lot of touchdowns. But I still think he's a guy you're pretty much starting every week because he's a workhorse running back. He catches passes. He has chances to score. That's it. That's all you can ask for. But matchup proof, I mean, no running back is matchup proof except maybe Christian McCaffrey.
Maybe Christian McCaffrey. I mean,
maybe Christian McCaffrey.
Nobody else is going to score a touchdown every game or have a 100-yard chance for 100 every game. Matchup proof in the sense that is he going to smash every week? No, but is he pretty much an every week must start at running back now? Unless you have CMC and JT and somebody else.
Right.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Now, Young Money is in the house. What's up?
What's up, Young Money?
So, wants to come around to remember, and yes, I do remember this. Quentin Johnston, the next Kevin White, too soon?
Probably too soon, but certainly it's well within his ceiling, or I shouldn't say his range of outcomes right now. It's well within his range of outcomes. I mean, he does not look like him, and he was the guy. Like when he was drafted, I said like, okay, I liked where he got drafted because I said, oh, good, he can play behind Mike Williams for a year while he develops and gets better. Unfortunately, he had to play sooner than they expected, and he has not developed. So there's always you can never give up on a guy after 1 year. You can never give up on a guy after 1 year, but certainly not a good start. Not a good start for QJ.
Well, I'll say a couple differences. One thing, Kevin White, if I recall, was much stronger and faster than Quentin Johnston. Like he was ripped and he had all the physical tools. Quentin Johnston's got size and he does have speed for his size. What he doesn't have is exactly the concerns. I think what we're seeing is all the, we talk about pros and cons of a player, all the concerns of entering the league. We're seeing all of it. The hands, dropping an easy touchdown that could have won the game last week. The lack of precision in route running and just the lack of readiness. I mean, he's super young. There have been some other guys who are super young or who are still doing okay. And just, I don't know, just not being up to the task of handling NFL secondaries. There's always next year, but so far, not so good. So, yeah, I'll just say this. I didn't draft a lot of Quentin Johnston. I think I have him in 2 of my Dynasty leagues. And I'm fielding offers currently for teams that are reloading for next year. I'll take a draft pick for him or another young receiver. So, yeah, I'm kind of on your side, young money here. Just going to drop this here. What do you think? Robert Christensen calling 2 Mooney TDs.
Why not? That would be as shocking as Chuba Hubbard.
Chuba Hubbard. There you go. Chuba Hubbard. Forgot about that.
Chuba Hubbard. How many points did Chuba Hubbard have this week? What is Chuba Hubbard? Like the RB3 right now?
Somehow. That's just more about the state of the running back.
Actually, this was actually a phenomenal running back week for the first time all year. He's actually only the running back 10, even though he scored 20 fantasy points, because this was actually a good running back week 5.
Maybe when the weather goes on this way and later in the season, we'll see more running. All right, Amy needs to drop one. Talked about these guys. Got Sharps, got Reed, Herbert, or Pickens. Who you dropping?
Well, let's see what Herbert does tonight. I assume you don't have to drop one right this second. Let's see how Herbert looks tonight. Does he look good? Is he getting the usage or not? Because that's probably where I'm leaning. I'm probably leaning towards Herbert.
Yeah, I think you still want to hold on to Sharp. I'm really tempted to call a Pickens breakout game next week. We'll see.
One of these, hey, you know what? If Freiermuth can do it, why not pick? But the problem is if Pickens does it next week, then Freiermuth won't, and that means Freiermuth is right. Not the answer.
Yeah, I mean, I would just say right now the guy would be Herbert, but let's see. Let's see what he looks like tonight. All right, Jacob Ibarra is 9-2. Very nice. Okay, so he wants us to rate this lineup. Got Herbert, got Kirk and Waddle, got CMC and Bryce, Laporta, Pittman, Sutton, Noah Brown, and Keaton Mitchell, and then Higgins and JJ chilling on the bench.
Yeah, Higgins probably going to keep chilling on your bench. I mean, Jamar Chase was barely startable with Browning. I don't see how both are going to be startable, unfortunately. But look, when JJ comes back, I mean, you're going to have JJ, you're going to have Kirk, you're going to have Waddle. You got Pittman. I mean, you're stacked at wide receiver. You're just stacked at wide receiver. Running back, I mean, you really need Breece Hall to get going here or Keaton Mitchell to somehow be the playoff savior. But look, you got CMC. I mean, he's basically a running back and a half. Basically counts as like 1.5 running backs. You got Herbert. Hopefully the Chargers, like you said, figure it out. They do have an easy schedule, so they should get better. So I'm going to give this to 8-5.
Yeah, I mean, the only question really is your RB2 and Breece. What is he going to do? But we always say if there's a place to have a question mark, it's your RB2. And he's at least getting you points most weeks. So
right. At least he has a floor. least he has a floor with that pass catching.
Right. Yeah. I mean, this is not the worst RB2 to have. So, yeah, this looks like a pretty good team to me, assuming it's a 12-team league. Then I would also give it probably the same, about an A5. Definitely could take home a ring. Jason Kidd, 19. Who you like tonight, Khalil Herbert or Ty Chandler?
I think you got to go with Khalil Herbert. He's the lead back. He's going to get most of the touches in this offense. He has a chance to score. Ty Chandler, he was good last week, but that was the Broncos. I mean, I know it's the Bears, but they're still better than the Broncos against the run. So I think you got to go Khalil Herbert. You got to chase the touches.
Yeah, Chandler's, okay, he's playable, but I think there's just a very limited ceiling. Herbert is the guy I feel much better, can rip off a big run, get a touchdown, just getting the goal line carries. Yeah, I think it's got to be Herbert. Probably either way, whether you're head behind, I don't think it matters. I also just kind of feel better about the Bears actually sticking with the run as opposed to the Vikings.
Yes.
95, what's up? Up 30. All right, that's what's up. Full PPR. They have Addison and Kmet.
I like your chances. I mean, unless one of these guys has a random big game, I like your chances. And yeah, I think you got a good shot.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Kmet has those random games where he'll score 2 touchdowns or, get 10 catches. But can't assume it's going to happen. I don't feel like it's a big Addison week either. So up 30, yeah, I think you got it. Because you need both of those guys to have good games. So.
Right.
And then Elmer Sanchez, another one. Pick up Curtis Samuel, Justin Watson, A.T. Perry, or your guy Tutu.
Not Tutu. Man.
I mean, Samuel had a 100-yard game, but of course he does this, right? Every couple of weeks he randomly emerges with a big game, and then of course, Washington's offense. Every week, random different guy pops up, and then somebody else pops up, and then you don't know who to start.
I mean, not Atwell, definitely not Perry, unfortunately.
Nah.
I mean, but then you look at Watson. This is what I was saying with Watson, because after he had that 11 target game in week 11, it's like, well, remember before the bye, he only had 3. And then what did we see this week? 1 catch for 3 yards. Now, granted, that 1 catch was a touchdown, but what good is a touchdown when it's 3 yard, a 3-yard catch? Okay, you got 7 points. Okay. He scored, but he got 7 fantasy points. Assuming you're in PPR, you got less if you're in non-PPR or half. But, I think I might just go with Curtis Samuel. I mean, he seems to be pretty well involved when he's healthy. I expect Sam Howell to have a big game. I expect this to be a high-scoring game. I expect, if nothing else, the Commanders are going to throw it a ton because that's what they do. I think Curtis Samuel has the most upside here, so I'm going Curtis Samuel.
Yeah, well, I'll say that for this week, I think you got to like Curtis Samuel because going against the Dolphins, this should be a high-scoring game. Watson going against the Packers, they're not a bad pass defense, and we saw his involvement drop. It's going to be more inconsistent. So I will say this week, yeah, I would go Curtis Samuel and see what happens. A.T. Perry, we have to see. Let's see him actually get targeted first.
Yeah, that was rough.
John Myers, with the trade deadline coming up, wants to know, would you do A.J. Brown and Logan Thomas,
No.
Kelsey and DK?
No, I don't. I know A.J. Brown's had kind of 2 down games, although he wasn't bad this week. But I just think the drop from A.J. Brown to DK is too severe. Look, I get it. There's a drop from Kelsey to Logan Thomas, but also Kelsey hasn't been that true difference maker at the position this year. He's been very good. If you have Travis Kelsey, you're happy. You're not upset, but he hasn't dominated the position in years past, right? If we were drafting right now, if we were drafting today, if we were going back to before week 1 and we were drafting today knowing what we know now, there's no way Travis Kelsey would go in the first round, right?
No, not at this point.
No, he hasn't been that guy. I mean, he's still very good for a tight end. Don't get me wrong, like I said, but I don't really love rolling with Logan Thomas. But I just don't want to give up A.J. Brown for DK Metcalf, especially when you look at the Eagles' playoff schedule, the matchup. He's going to have 3 smash matchups every single week in the playoffs. DK Metcalf, I mean, come on. Like, he's been terrible. I shouldn't say he's been terrible this year, but he's been very, very underwhelming. Pete Carroll talking about they need to get Jackson Smith and Jigba more involved. Like, Geno Smith looking like a pumpkin. No way am I trading A.J. Brown to get DK Metcalf. I'm not doing it.
Well, the other thing we just talked about with Charbonnet, everyone's worried the schedule. Well, DK Metcalf has that same schedule. They don't have a great schedule.
Nope.
Like you said, Geno Smith's not looking as good. And also we just said, what wins? Having those huge games. A.J. Brown is capable of like a 25, 30-point game. Kelsey is, of course, the best tight end out there, but is he really pulling out those kind of games this year? He isn't.
Nope.
I mean, once in a while he'll have a huge game, but he's just more solid than spectacular, I guess, this year.
Yep.
So, yeah, I think you got to hold on to A.J. Brown. All right, some good news and some bad news. Let's do the bad first. Chris Wingfield
That always hurts.
by 0.02 of a point.
That always hurts.
Hold your breath and hold out for a stat correction.
Yeah.
It happens. Good news, Rise above. Definitely went above. Put up 154, going to 7-5. There we go. On the way
Nice.
to the playoffs.
There we go.
John Starr needs a flex. Warren, Deontay, or Lockett?
I mean, it should be Warren. Playing the Cardinals. I think you got to trust Warren again. You got to trust him one more week. I mean, Deontay Johnson, I don't know who knows what we're going to get. Lockett, again, talked about it. Like, not feeling good about those guys. I think you got to go with Warren again. I think you got to trust him again.
You can't feel great about Lockett going against the Cowboys this week on a Thursday. Nah. So, yeah, I'll go with Warren. I know Najee suddenly became the lead guy just after Jalen Warren became the starter, but I still think Warren still looked good. He was still involved. He still made plays, so I'm going to go Warren too. I'm not sure what's prompting this, Mario. I guess, are we getting rid of Barkley? No.
Because he had a down game. Like they have the bye this week, and then he gets the Packers. He's going to bounce back big time coming out of the bye when he plays Packers. Don't worry.
Do not get rid of Barkley. Joel D167 up 20. He has TJ Hawkinson. You should win.
Yeah, that's 20 points for a tight end is a huge game. I know Hawkinson's done it a couple times, but that's still a huge game. I like your chances.
Yes, I think you got this one. Sven Dragon, T-Law or Dobbs? Talking about for Kyler's bye, which would be week 14. I think that's the last week where teams are off. And it's the Cardinals and somebody else.
Well, let me look ahead. I don't know. I don't really know who.
What was it? It was T-Law or Dobbs. Okay, so the Jaguars play the Browns on the road. No, thank you.
Vikings play the Raiders on the road. What if T-Law looks good again this week and Dobbs looks bad tonight and looks bad next week? We're not going to say Dobbs over T-Law even against the Browns. Russell Wilson just was fine against them.
But also, you got to remember, by week 14, Justin Jefferson's back.
Okay. But if Dobbs looks bad tonight and he doesn't play next week, but if he looks bad tonight, are we going to really suggest, and let's say T-Law looks good again next week? I don't know. We'll see. Ask us. I mean, right now, I would say T-Law. He's just significantly better than Dobbs.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you have to decide right now. You're looking to add somebody to stash. I would go Dobbs because I think Cleveland's defense is that good. And it's in Cleveland. I could see T-Law having a down game. But let's see how Dobbs looks, I guess. Things change fast in the NFL. All right. You know what? This is a great question. Possibly the best question we've had all night. J.R. Fuentes, any suggestion on underdog picks? Well, since you asked, this is a great time to remind everybody. Because maybe y'all weren't on the very beginning of the stream. If you have not signed up for Underdog, well, this is, again, still the best time to do it. because you get a new customer special tonight, it's Justin Fields going higher than half a yard. You can take that. And also, you still get that 100% deposit match up to $100. If you're not sure about Underdog, how it works or what it is, well, let's show you. So here we go. If you're looking for tonight, let's start with that Justin Fields. Again, if you just create your account right now in the next half hour, then you can take that Justin Fields basically freebie. I'm pretty sure he'll get a yard. Now, let's say you're already on Underdog. You want to make some picks like JR. Let's look at the options here. So we're predicting a pretty big DJ Moore game. So let me just ask you in general, Chris, do you just immediately kind of like navigate toward the guys that you feel good about individually, or do you look more just at the stat lines and the numbers that you think like the particular stats that you feel better about? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I just kind of scroll down and something jumps out like this Rashawn Johnson 7.5 receiving yards. I mean, let me look, but that kind of jumped out to me right away. Like, I feel like he's had, let's see. Well, I mean, he hasn't done that once this year, so maybe that's one of those like. And this is what I do. Like when I see a line, I say, hey, 7.5 receiving yards. That seems low, and then I go look, and I'm like, well, he's never done that this year. Maybe there's a reason why. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. I was looking at receptions. 14, 9, 10, 11, 10, 35. Yeah, still feels pretty good to me.
Well, Johnson does feel pretty good. Again, Foreman not playing, and Vikings not the most stout defense. I'll tell you the picks I made already because I did put a line down for tonight, so that might help you. I went DJ Moore higher. I got it at 4.5 receptions. Is that where he's at?
He's at 5.5 now.
5.5. See, all right. See, these lines move, and so you lock it in. I got him at 4.5 receptions, and already it's gone up. So if he gets 5 catches or more, I get that one. So I took the higher on DJ Moore receptions, but now it's 5.5. So I still feel like that's definitely doable, though.
Definitely doable, but certainly like 4.5 better.
And then another one this is a stat you pointed out last week. And I can't remember who the player was. I can't remember who the Bears played last week, but the Bears give up a ton of receiving yards and catches to running backs.
Yes.
So look, I know Ty Chandler's there, but Madison's still the league guy. Madison gets targeted a lot in the passing game. Justin Jefferson's not there. Okay, so I took Madison higher than 11.5 receiving yards.
Well, now it's at 10.5. That definitely jumps out to me. 10.5 receiving yards. I mean, he's
2 catches. Well, and look, 2 receptions, even that one. Now, I don't like doing the straight up, I don't like I want to either win or not win. Like, I hate the 2. If it's 2 exactly, you could tie. I mean, that's fine too. 2 receptions seems pretty low. So I like that one also. But yeah, the yardage, I mean, he could get that on 1 catch.
Right.
And the other one, don't laugh. I took the kicker, Greg Joseph. 1.5 field goals. I don't know what prompted me to do this, but I feel like, that's not even there anymore.
Not even there anymore. He's got 7.5 kicking points.
Okay, so I like mine better because he could only get it 6 points and still nail that one. But these are teams that aren't scoring a ton of touchdowns. This is a team. This is in Minnesota. It's in a dome. Weather's not an issue. Joseph is a good kicker. He's not one of these guys who will shank him. Bears are a bend, don't break defense. So I took Joseph 1.5 field goals. But again, that's a kicker. That's probably not the smartest pick. That's just a gut feel. What's another one you like?
Let's see here. I wasn't really looking.
I'll either go for like a stud player who I feel, even if I don't think they'll explode, I feel like there's a line that's pretty low. So for example, DJ Moore, I feel like that receptions, like even if he doesn't have a big game, he could still get 5 catches.
Yeah, I like this Josh Dobbs 6.5 rushing attempts. I feel like he's done that in most games. Let's look here.
Yeah.
So since he's gone to the Vikings, he's had 8, 8, and 7 attempts. And if you look at his last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games, he's had 7 or more in all but one, and the other one he had 6. feel like he's going to go over that tonight, especially against the Bears.
And you know what? I just realized, I mean, he scores in the ground. I don't always recommend doing touchdowns because those are so fluky and sometimes hard to predict. But if you want to go a little bit bolder, do the scorcher, whatever they call it. He's scored a rushing touchdown in 5 straight games. 5 straight games, he's scored a rushing touchdown. So you go, if you think he scores a touchdown, you're like, take a chance. Then you actually get the 1.25. So that's not a bad one.
There we go.
All right.
There we go.
There you go. All right. Hope that helps.
Good luck.
And I think it helps to see it because, not just who you like, what do you got, but the thought process behind it, because it can be intimidating. You see all this stuff, you're like, well, I don't know how many receiving yards this guy's going to get. I don't know. You don't have to know. First of all, they pick these for a reason. These numbers are not random. They're not throwing darts here. They know exactly why they're picking these numbers, but you got to still make your guess how you think the game's going to go. Just look up the stats and make your educated guess how you think the game's going to go. All right, let's do some more questions because we have a little bit of time before the game starts. Anybody got some last-minute start-sit questions? Let's see. All right, how about this? I don't think we had any questions from this user before. Not that I remember. Sun Moon. Do you remember Sun Moon?
I do not. Welcome, Sun Moon.
6-5, 12-man league. Wants to know if there's any moves to make. So Tua, Jacobs, Kamara, Tyreek, Metcalf, Bijan, and Ingram, Ridley, and Achane on the bench. Looks pretty good.
Looks pretty good. Hopefully Achane is back this week. I think you could definitely go Ridley over Metcalf this week.
Yeah, this coming week.
Yeah, looks good. Looks good.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like your team should definitely have a good chance. Can't say definitely make the playoffs because you're 6-5, but you definitely have a strong chance. So good luck. Okay, how about Jesus Tapia? Down 20, has Madison or Herbert plus Fields, but he still has Kmet. Okay, well, Fields over Kmet, that's a good thing. Which running back, Madison or Herbert?
I think I got to go Madison. I mean, we know he's going to get most of the touches. He'll catch passes. Could score. I think I got to go Madison over Herbert.
Agree. I think Madison is just the guy. I feel better about the volume. And like you said, he catches passes. Herbert doesn't. Not a lot, but a little worried. I mean, Herbert did get a lot of run last week, but a little worried Rashawn Johnson sees a little bit more in terms of touches this week. Still feel like, he's a guy. He's not going to break out at this point in the season, but I feel like he's a guy who could still come on a little bit. All right, what about the Kraken? Yeah, all right, you've earned it again. You're in legend status. You did call the Waddle game, and he started Kyren. Thankfully, see.
Nice.
All right, that makes me feel a little better.
We said yes to Kyren a lot. I don't know why we're taking the L on Kyren. We said yes to Kyren a lot this weekend. A lot.
I know. But I feel like, man, I really should have said yes to Kyren across the board. But
yeah, well, sure, of course. I should have. It's like when I tell my wife when she's like, "I should have played this guy." I'm like, "Yeah, I should have played these lottery numbers." Yeah. After the lottery numbers have been drawn, I'm like, "Oh, I should have played those numbers."
Yeah.
Why didn't I play those numbers?
I knew it. It should have been my second dog's birthday, not the third dog's. Yeah. All right. What about a deal? 89. All right. So Madison or Chandler down 7.
Yeah, again, you got to prefer Madison. He still gets the bulk. I mean, he had 18 carries last week. He's still the guy here. Got to prefer Madison.
Yeah, got to go Madison. Down 7. If you're down 7 and all you have is just Madison and he's got nobody, I think you got a good shot, assuming it's PPR. All right, then Ronald Mikos, would you dare start Addison over DJ Moore?
No way.
Absolutely
no way. No way.
No way. What about Cruge? Herbert or Chandler?
Got to go Herbert. He's locked into the touches. He's the lead back. Chandler is still like the change of pace guy. Yeah, and it's not nearly as good of a matchup this week as it was last week against the Broncos. So going Herbert.
Yeah, got to go Herbert as well. Brian Ruiz is asking Addison or Khalil in PPR.
PPR, let's go with the wide receiver. We had this one earlier, didn't we? But I think we got to give the edge to the wide receiver in PPR.
Yeah, gonna have some. Just want to make sure everyone who needs this, make sure they know they might not be listening until they hear their name. How about Warren County Bass in New Jersey? First time posting. All right. Well, welcome. Thanks for joining us. Needs 27 from Fields.
I mean, it's a big game for sure, but he's got that kind of potential. You're certainly going to be sweating. That's a big game for sure. Big game.
It's doable. You're going to need some big rushing performance from Fields. I mean, I don't feel he's going to throw for 4 again, but it's doable. What about Blue Magic? Down by 4, has Fields, opponent has Herbert.
Yeah, I feel very good about your chances.
Yeah, feel really good about
very high. Your chances are very high.
All right, rest of the season. David Williams wants to know, who you like better, Purdy or Howell?
I think I still got to go Purdy. Let me see. I mean, who do the 49ers have? They have the Eagles, the Seahawks at home, the Cardinals, Ravens, and then they finish with the Commanders.
Yeah,
that's pretty nice.
Here's one thing I did mention because I looked it up. Talking about Howell I like a lot this week, but then next week he is on bye, so you don't get him in week 14, and then terrible schedule. Get the Rams on the road, the Jets, and the 49ers, and then the Cowboys just for fun in the weekend. So it's got to be Purdy.
It's got to be Purdy. Rams on the road, Jets on the road. Oh man,
yeah,
gotta be Purdy.
This week only, I prefer Howell. The rest of the season, it's definitely Purdy. All right, yeah. Boomer says, with Adams on bye, needs to flex either London or Sutton, and that's it.
Probably has to be Sutton. I mean, like London was okay this week. It wasn't what do you have, like 90 yards, right? 5 catches, 90 yards, something like that. He was all right. But against the Jets, nah. In New York, nah. Let's just go with Sutton. Yeah,
Sutton continues to be solid. Just keep scoring. The Weather Beast is in the house. What is up? Dynasty. All right. Thoughts on Keaton Mitchell?
In Dynasty, I mean, yeah. Bye-bye.
Overvalued
Keaton.
Right now.
Bye-bye, Keaton. If I can get something good for you, you're gone. Keaton Mitchell is not the kind of running back I want to bet my Dynasty future on. Yeah, if I can get a mid-second for him in Superflex, see you later, buddy. Out the door. I mean, we're talking about an undersized, speedster type running back. We don't have a long history of these guys. Like the best case career history we have for these guys is like Darren Sproles, right? Like severely undersized, speedster type running backs. And what was Darren Sproles ever really in fantasy? He was like a flex option, like maybe a RB2 when you need him. That was like the most Darren Sproles ever was. These Keaton Mitchell is as replaceable as it gets at the running back position. I'm talking about in real life and even in fantasy, to be honest, long term. So yeah, give me the second. Give me the second all day for Keaton Mitchell.
And at the very beginning, before we start answering, the questions, we talked about the Reich thing, Carolina and Bryce Young. And I said Bryce Young is still a good buy low, and especially in Superflex. So you're talking about trading Bryce for Keaton Mitchell and a draft pick in Superflex. There's no way. I'm taking Bryce Young, every day and twice on a Sunday or whatever the saying is. Is that what it is? Something like that. All right, JR. Rate this team: Allen Mayfield, Keenan, Ayuk, Pittman, Deontay Lockett, Etienne, Bijan, Barkley, Connor, Kelsey, Kincaid. For a 12-team league, that is really good.
Yeah, you got Josh Allen, you got Keenan Allen, Brandon Ayuk, Pittman. Some okay wide receivers at the end. You got Etienne, Bijan, Barkley. Yeah, this is like a 9-5 right here. I mean, what is the weakness here? And the crazy thing about this team is even if like Kelsey goes down, it's like, okay, I just put Kincaid in. I'm fine. I don't really miss a beat.
I mean, I don't know the rest of your league, but I would say it's going to be a big upset if you don't win the championship with this team. Yeah. Looking good. All right. One for you. It's from Juice. What do you think? KJO going for 85.
Ooh. I don't think so. What league is this? He needs 85. I'm down by 85. This has to be a dynasty. This has to be a dynasty league where I'm tanking.
I want to make sure we're not missing a decimal, right? It's not 8.5. It's 85. All right.
Yeah, because I don't think I'm playing KJ Osborne outside of a dynasty league.
I would hope not.
Let me see. It's got to be. Where am I down? Where am I losing that badly, though? I don't think I'm losing that. What league is this? Where I need 85? There's no league where I need 85. You know what's frustrating is I'm going to beat you in the MC Tribute Dynasty League where I'm trying to tank. What's wrong with your team? Actually, you know what's wrong is my team is like so good. I cannot wait for next year, honestly. I cannot wait. That team is
you're trying to tank harder. You can trade me some players.
I got Laporta, London, Olave. Oh, that's not even my best tanking team. My best tanking team is the Dynasties League One. Kyler, Bryce, Ayuk. Oh man, that team is ridiculous. But anyways, I'm not losing by 85 in any league, so I don't know what he's talking about. But no, KJ Osborne is not going for 85 points tonight.
No, I'm not even sure if he will get 8.5.
Right.
He might. Kyle Maddox up by 32 going against TJ Hawkinson. I think you're good.
You're very, very safe. Very safe.
Spearsy, what's up, Spearsy? 76. Said that if Stroud and Nico go off, you should win. Well, they definitely did, and you definitely did. Awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. Nico was he's been kind of boom bust. And what worried me is because at home he's been great, but then last week at home he wasn't great. He was okay, but I think maybe he just wasn't fully, recovered because he had that injury. But
yeah.
All right. Got just a few more minutes. Boomer. Would I do this? I made fun of him for having Koo, the kicker, and a pick'em. I don't think I did it. I might have laughed. I laughed to myself for having a kicker and a pick'em.
This is a terrible kicker week. This was a reminder of why kickers shouldn't be in fantasy.
Yeah, exactly. GGGG. Rice and Pacheco.
Oh, okay.
Or Kupp and Nakua.
Are we at the point where we're just taking Rice and Pacheco and not dealing with this? We're just give me Rice and Pacheco?
Well, look, who just had the better games?
But it's not even that. Look, Cooper, at this point, we just have to say what it is. Cooper Kupp, the biggest bust in fantasy this year. He's this year's biggest bust. No, he's had 2 good games. Even the games, and the other worry with Cooper Kupp is, what was it? The first catch of the game, he's already getting his ankle looked at again. He's far from 100%. He's not close to 100%. Maybe Puka can still be good, but I think, obviously Puka mania has severely died down at this point. Pacheco has a great rest of season schedule. I mean, he's at least going to be I think an RB2 rest of the way. I just don't even want to deal with this Cooper Kupp, Puka Nakua headache. I might honestly take Rice and Pacheco at this point. I'm done. Wow. At some point, you have to ignore the name Cooper Kupp. You have to ignore the name and say, what is actually happening right now? What is the actual situation? And the situation is awful.
It is very frustrating. I will say that. I'm not ready to call it a season for Cooper Kupp just yet. Look, if the ankle's still bothering him, it's still questionable this week, and there's still an issue, okay, then I'll be I'm not going to hold out hope that he heals and is much better. But then I think Puka's got to go up in value if Kupp is not playing or if he's hurt. This week, just look, it was Arizona. They didn't need to throw the ball to the receivers. They were running all over the place with Kyren. So I'm not going to get too carried away yet, especially because the Chiefs just played the Raiders. I'm going to give it one more week.
What are we going to say this? Okay, so last week we say, well, it was Arizona. That's a smash spot. Now they get the Browns. What are we like? Well, now they're going to have to throw it a lot because the Browns are going to put so many points on them. No, now they're facing a better secondary where they won't have to throw the ball at all. Like, Cooper Kupp has not topped 48 yards since October 15th. He hasn't had more than 4 catches since October 15th. Like, at some point, you have to just ignore the name. I'm at that point. I don't care that the name is Cooper Kupp. The production is, I don't know, name a not very good receiver. The production is KJ Osborne. The name is Cooper Kupp. The production is KJ Osborne.
Ow.
It's true. It's true, though. Look at his game logs.
Well, let's see. Yeah, I guess. 4-1 out for Puka Mania. No kidding. Look, if you need a running back, I guess you take Pacheco and you add Rice on there. That's fine. And I don't know. We'll see. I'm not there yet, but maybe that's also because I traded for Cooper Kupp in 2 weeks. Got a couple more minutes. Let's finish out here. Last couple of questions. Steven, if you had to drop one, would it be Taysom or Likely?
I think it's got to be Likely because A, he didn't do a whole lot last night, but B, they're going on bye this week, so nobody's going to be running out to pick up Likely, so it's got to be Likely.
Yeah, like his usage in terms of route running and targets was encouraging for a tight end, but he's not playing this week, and I'm going to kind of have to be in on Taysom this week for reasons that I'll explain in a later video. But anyways, I would drop Likely because, like you say, he's not even playing. And then Phil, would you send Achane or Hall for Pittman?
Probably. If you need a wide receiver, probably. Pittman is easily the most underrated player in fantasy. I don't understand why Pittman, we get Michael Pittman questions all stream long every day. Right? Multiple, should I start Michael Pittman? The guy has had 14 or more PPR points in 6 straight games. He's had double-digit targets in 7 games this year. He's been incredible almost every single week, and people are still like, do I start Michael Pittman or, Romeo Doubs this week? Do I start Michael Pittman or, Cortland Sutton this week? It's like, we got to start thinking about Michael Pittman as just a guy you put in your lineup and don't worry about it. Like, he's been awesome. So, yeah, give me Pittman.
Yeah, I think you could send either one for Pittman. Don't want to get into it right now with the Achane thing, but starting to wonder if he's really going to be worth the hype because I think it's still going to just become a committee down the stretch. But anyways, I think you can do this. Max Leitner dropped the sticker. He wants to know, would you trade Swift, McBride, Garrett Wilson for DJ Moore, Kelsey, and Aaron Jones? He says best other receiver is Amon-Ra and RBs or JT and Bijan. I mean, it's like you're upgrading at receiver and tight end, but downgrading at running back. But do you think it's worth it?
This is closer than it should be because I don't think there's going to be a big difference between Kelsey and McBride rest of the season. I certainly prefer Kelsey, but I don't think the gap is going to be that big. That's the thing, right? It's not going to be like most weeks. I don't think you're going to be like, oh man, I wish I had Kelsey instead of McBride. Like, it's probably going to be like, oh yeah, but Kelsey was better, but McBride was still really good. I certainly prefer DJ Moore to Garrett Wilson. I mean, Garrett Wilson can't score a garbage time touchdown every week. But I certainly you got to prefer Swift to Aaron Jones. Who knows when we're even going to see Aaron Jones again? And when we do, what are we even going to get? What are we going to get from Aaron Jones? 10 snaps and then a snapped hamstring again? I mean, what are we getting from Aaron Jones this year? So it's close. It's certainly close. But, I mean, I think because you have JT and Bijan, maybe for your team it's worth it to get DJ Moore. And at least you do get the tight end upgrade. So it's close, but probably worth it for your team.
Yeah, this is This is a very thought-provoking trade. I think it does help your starting lineup, and you have JT and Bijan. You're like, well, I don't need Swift. Like you said, tight end, it's really not that big a difference. But I think in receiver, it could be a big difference. If DJ Moore smashes and is a top 10 receiver down the stretch, this trade definitely helps you. And I think I take the gamble. I think I take the gamble on DJ Moore being helpful. So I think you can do it. You know, he actually said, sorry, I just noticed this. He said he also has Muth. Well, that's fine. I mean, you're still starting one of those guys anyways.
Yeah.
So, all right. One last before we go. Actually, let's do two. MC. With Josh Allen on bye, would you start Stafford, Love, or Murray in week 13?
Rams get the Browns. No, thank you. I think it's got to be Kyler Murray, right?
Yeah, I'm going Kyler Murray. Rams, bad matchup. Love, not a great matchup. Murray's got that rushing upside.
Yeah, Murray.
Then Johnny Donuts. I need to drop one for my waiver wire pickup. Curtis Samuel. Okay. Chandler or Mitchell?
Well, let's see. I mean, look, assuming Alexander Mattison doesn't have an injury tonight, or Ty Chandler isn't suddenly the guy, right? Like, oh my gosh, Ty Chandler tonight gets, all the run. That's probably going to be Chandler. Because at least Mitchell has a path and he's starting to come on. I know he's on the bye week, but he is starting to come on. So I'll say right now I would say Chandler, but let's see how the game goes tonight. You never know. You never know.
True. Yeah, I would say the same thing. Obviously, I mentioned Mitchell as a waiver wire pickups, the tremendous upside if, God forbid, something happens to CMC. It's just much more than Chandler. So there you go. But we'll be back tomorrow for the waiver wire show and all these questions.
Oh, wait, I was assuming Keaton Mitchell. Is that Elijah Mitchell? Well, still, let's see. But yeah.
You know what? I guess I'm thinking because he said stashing handcuffs.
Yeah, you could be right. I mean, but you should probably still have Elijah Mitchell stashed because if something does happen to CMC, you're going to be happy you have Elijah Mitchell.
All right. But we'll be back tomorrow for your waiver wire questions. And good luck to everybody the rest of tonight. If you need some help, pulling for you. Check out all the videos that are already out and are coming out tomorrow. And we'll see you guys hopefully for tomorrow night's live show.